What is up, guys? Team Fails here with another deck profile. You guys already know the drill. We're going to be taking a look at some, well, basically, I shouldn't say some, I should say the best deck of the current format, in that of Dragon Link. But before we hop into the deck profile, make sure you guys go ahead and smash that thumbs up button, smash that subscribe button, and smash that notification bell. Get everything smashed all at the same time, because we already know we just hit 700 subscribers the other day, so we're at now, I think we're now at 705. So the next goal is really, I mean, I would say it's 800, but the next goal is 1,000. So let's make it happen, you guys. Push me to that 1,000 subscriber mark. You guys already know that it's going to happen anyways, because that positive energy that we got, we're going to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark in no time. But let's hop right into the deck profile. Alrighty, so like I said, Dragon Link, taking a look at the best deck in the meta right now. Typically, I don't post the best deck in the meta anymore. It's not something that I've done in a while. I haven't posted a Dragon Link deck profile in quite a bit. But this deck, you know, definitely is the deck that you're going to see topping probably the most frequently. You're seeing a lot of tops with this deck, followed closely by like Shadal Invoked. And then after that, it's kind of just a free-for-all between like dinosaurs and prank kids and all sorts of other stuff. So let's hop into the main deck here and take a look at the monsters first. I'm playing a little bit of a different build, and you guys will see as we progress through. So it's actually my personal preference as to how I like to play it. Like if I were to bring this deck to a tournament tomorrow, this is probably how I would play the deck, to be honest. So we have 3 Starleaf Seafort. This is one of the best starters in the deck, so maximizing out on 3 of it is probably your best bet. Not only is it a great starter, but the recursion ability from Grave is also very important. Being able to grab cards like Levianeer back is actually pretty relevant. So keep in mind that this card does have multiple abilities that will come up multiple times per game, which is very, very important. Then for the rocket cards, we have 3 Tracer, because it's basically the entire engine. It turns itself into 2 rocket monsters, which is even better. It's just the card that you have to play 3 of. Then we have 2 Recharger to go alongside it. Recharger, in my opinion, is almost better than Tracer in a way, but Tracer obviously is your 1-card combo to really get you going places. Then we have a copy of Silver Rocket, a copy of Magna Rocket, and a copy of Rocket Synchron. I think these cards are really, really powerful. I think there are obviously some substitutes that can be made, but it kind of depends on what you want to go with. I like to have a good amount of rocket monsters in my arsenal, and it definitely pays off for me, at least. Then to complement the rocket cards, we do have the 1 Absolrouter. If you want to cut the Magna Rocket for a second Absolrouter, you can. That's the one thing that I've kind of been going back and forth on, but it's totally player preference. So like I said, the Magna Rocket can be swapped for a second Absolrouter, or you just keep the Magna Rocket. Whatever your preference is, go for it. This is just for you guys to kind of build off of. Then all of our, well, basically the rest of our dragon stuff, we play a Clap Serpent and a Wyverburster, because why wouldn't you want free Dragon Link plays? It's just literally all they are, free cards. 1 Levianeer, which I already mentioned. This card's very, very important, being able to pop cards and rip cards and possibly reborn cards, which doesn't come up as often. And it's a big beat stick, which is even sweeter. And we have the Metal and the Darkness Metal. I think that this engine does come up, not as frequently, but I actually like this engine a lot, so I continually play it. You'll notice the 1 card that I'm not playing in here is Noctivision. Oh, actually, no, I am. I'm sorry. I forgot that I put it in here. 1 Noctivision and 1 Brotar for the last of the dragon monsters. I think that the Noctivision is good for, like, you know, interrupting, or I should say chain blocking. That way your opponent can't interrupt you. But I just don't think you need to play more than 1. Like, before I would have played multiples, but currently I think 1 is perfectly fine. And the Brotar, obviously you don't really want to draw it. If you do, it's not the worst thing in the world, but you obviously want to keep it in deck for your spheres to summon it out, and then getting a free search is the icing on the cake. And the last monster that we play, we don't play any hand traps in the main deck because there's just no room. But the last monster that we play is the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, because my build is playing the Phantom Knight cards. I really like the Phantom Knight engine in this deck. Sets up more negations for you. I just think that it's a fantastic way to really get your plays going. I can't speak more about how much I love this engine, because it's just something that works really well, and you only need one boots, and then the entire engine is there, which is even better. Makes everything a whole lot easier for you, so you don't have to worry about squeezing a crap ton of cards into your main deck. Well, those are all the monsters. We can move on to the spells now. We have 3 copies of Chaos Space, because searching is fantastic, in addition to recycling resources and drawing a card is also pretty fantastic. So really good card. I love Chaos Space. Then we have 3 copies of Quick Launch, because bringing out our rocket monsters is very important. As I mentioned before, Tracer is a 1-card negation, so that's pretty good. Then we have 3 copies of World Legacy Guard Dragon. Recursion and movement of zones is very integral to this deck strategy. You just want to be able to utilize your resources over and over again, in addition to setting up a board that your opponent can't break through. So World Legacy Guard Dragon definitely helps. Let's say you have like full combo in hand, and your opponent Nibiru's you at some point, you can always just like bring back one of the creatures that was, you know, sacked by the Nibiru, and then you can keep going with your Dragon Link combos. So pretty good card. Then we have 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, because we don't want to play against back row. We want to get rid of back row as quickly as possible, and Cosmic Cyclone obviously will do that. And it just overall is a really good card against most of the decks that are relevant, because banishing cards is significantly better than destroying them, turns out. Especially like Eldritch matchups, you want to be able to banish their Hakaros and their Conquistadors more than anything, so Cosmic is fully worth it. Then we have, for the field spells, 2 Boot Sector Launch and 1 Dragon Ravine. I think that this is a perfect ratio. I don't like playing 1 Boot Sector, because typically a 1 is going to get popped, and you usually use the effect multiple times per game depending on the game state. So I think double Boot Sector is probably the best route to go. Then for the 1-ofs, we have 1 Reborn, 1 Called By, and 1 Upstart. I am playing a 40-card deck, so Upstart was actually the 40th card, technically the 39th card, because you're really only playing 39 cards when you play Upstart. But I really like these 1-ofs. It just works out fantastic, like fantastically, because they're just great cards overall. The Reborn is basically another World Legacy Guard Dragon. The Call By is just a negation for whatever you need to negate, which is awesome. And then the Upstart just makes your deck thinning more easy. So I think that those are the best choices. Then the trap cards, we just play 2 Fogblade. I don't think this needs an excessive amount of explanation. It's basically the same thing as playing the Chamber, like the Dragon Maid combo. The only difference is that you're just saving yourself a ton of money by going this route, because that route is really expensive, and I didn't feel like doing that, so I opted to just stick with the Phantom Knights. And I actually like the Phantom Knights a lot more in testing than I did with the Chamber. So, but that is the entire main deck. We're gonna go ahead and hop on over to the extra deck and take a look at how it functions. Alrighty, it is extra deck time for Dragon Link. Extra deck is nothing out of the ordinary, to be honest. I think the extra deck looks pretty fair. There's nothing that seems odd in here to me, so we are playing 3 copies of Striker Dragon, because why wouldn't we? This is one of the best Link 1s to ever come out. This card is just insane. Searches and add backs, and the fact that it's you know, just very easily accessible in this deck is really good. Then for the other Link ones, we have the LP and the Pisty, because what would our Dragon Link decks be without basically 2 of the best cards for them, except for our Argapane, you know, our fantastic Argapane, which is ban. So we just have to work with the Pisty and the LP, which is perfectly fine. They help you combo off, which is all you need. Then we have 2 Heraldic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. I think that playing 2 of this is definitely the right move, because if you get Nibiru'd, there's a good chance you can make another one, or you just have a second one to use after you've already used the first one. So there are multiple routes to go with this card. I just really think playing 2 is optimal, because bouncing and then special summoning from your deck is absolutely nutty. So you have the ability to make that dream a reality with your spheres. So keep bouncing and keep special summoning. Then the other Link 2s that we play, we have one Quad Boral and one Romulus. This is pretty standard, to be fair, and we do have another Link 2, but it's not a dragon. The other Link 2 that we play would be the Beat Cop. The Beat Cop doesn't come up nearly as much as the Romulus and the Quad Boral. Don't get me wrong, it still does come up, though. There's no doubt about it. Typically, it's there as a way to kind of play around Nibiru and just keep comboing. So keep in mind that is something that does happen, but the Beat Cop is definitely worth just playing the one of. And for the only Link 3 that we play, you know, our Phantom Knight Link. I don't think this really needed an explanation. You get to basically send your copy of Silent Boots, and then you get to go ahead and get 2 Fog Blades out of it, which is pretty crazy. Just 2 more negations to do in this deck, which is even better. Then the last Link monster is the Boral Sword Dragon, I'm sorry. So Boral Sword is obviously there for OTKs. That's typically what it's going to be there for. It's just a really good card overall. I think that every single Dragon Link deck is playing Boral Sword, so it doesn't really need an explanation. Then the Synchro monsters. We play 3 Synchro monsters, one of them being this is one of my current favorite dragon cards, Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. I think the artwork looks fantastic on this card, for one. For two, it has a crazy effect, not just in this deck, but there are other decks that aren't good, necessarily good, I should say, more rogue decks that this card can be played in, especially like Lightsworn. This card would be absolutely busted in Lightsworn. So keep in mind that, you know, a card like this is fantastic, being able to mill 5 cards essentially, well, 4, and then getting to add one of the 5 that were revealed. But I think that overall this card is fantastic to be able to dig into your deck and get cards that you need, in addition to the fact that it can recur itself from graveyard, which is even better. Then we have a Borreload Savage Dragon. Obviously, setting up for the Omni Negates is extremely important. We need to have some Omni Negates set up on board and ready to go, and our Borreload Savage gets us there, in addition to getting a pretty fat attack, which is also fantastic. Then moving on to the last card in the extra deck, we of course have our hot red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Now, this card is actually made pretty easily in this deck. I'm not going to lie. It's not very difficult to put it together. So I really like this card just for the fact that it's another negation. And if you chain another card like to a Dark Ruler, I believe you can negate Dark Ruler with this. It's really powerful. I think this card is fantastic. But that is the extra deck. We're going to go ahead and hop on to the side deck now and take a look at the ratios that I've selected. All right, so we've basically hit the last segment of the video, which is our side deck. Essentially, we're just going to be taking a look to see what the ratios are that I'm playing, and I'll be giving you a little bit of insight as to why I've opted to go with these cards. You're going to notice, if you pay attention to most of my other deck profiles, that this realistically is pretty similar to a lot of the other side decks that I have in other decks. So keep in mind this is something that I think kind of sticks around with the meta. People just kind of find things that work and they go with it. So we have 3 copies of Artifact Lancia. Everyone knows by now that I've been pushing this card for a while. I just think the card is fantastic, and it definitely does a lot of stuff to make your opponent unable to play. Definitely we're siding against Dragon Link, Invoked, all that good stuff. Anything that banishes, really, it's just really good against. It's good against Eldritch too, so that's pretty nice. Then we have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, because there are a lot of decks that are doing an excessive amount of searching. Obviously, Invoke Dogmatica is one of them, so if you can cut them off from doing any additional searching for a turn, kind of slows them down, and then you have the opportunity to maybe OTK your opponent, which is pretty sweet. Then for the spell cards, we have 3 Dark Ruler, no more. You could play Droplet. I don't think Droplet is as good in this deck because it requires you just getting cards out of your hand that could probably be used for other Dragon Link things. So I would prefer to keep my cards in hand and then just, you know, stop my opponent's whole board and be able to play through everything. Then for more back row removal, 2 Lightning Storm and 1 Feather Duster. This is pretty standard. I don't see anything that's exceptionally out of the ordinary with this. You know, obviously having a third lightning sword would be fantastic. I just don't have one, and I don't think that it's completely necessary, considering I already have 3 cosmic in the main, so that gives us 6 cards, which mathematically should guarantee us at least 1 in our opening hand. So that's pretty important to remember. So keep in mind that, you know, you'll probably see 1 regardless, which is pretty sweet. Then the last cards that we have here, because we have 3 slots left, are cards for going first, and that would be 2 anti-spell and 1 Imperial Order. I think that these cards are the absolute nuts going into like a game 3 where you're going first, because you know fully well that your opponent is going to side in stuff like Dark Ruler No More against a deck like Dragon Link, and there's nothing better than just going standby phase, flip anti-spell, or when they activate Dark Ruler, just flipping the Imperial Order and watching them cry. So it's just overall fantastic to have these cards and watch your opponent basically have to set back row in order to try and play the game, which they're probably not going to make it to a next turn, which is even better. So keep in mind that is something that does come up a lot, and I think that siding these cards is definitely the right choice. But that essentially wraps up the entirety of this deck profile. I really like this deck. It's a lot of fun to play. Obviously, the ceiling with Dragon Link is absolutely astronomical. You can do so many things. I'm curious to see what the next ban list in July really does to the deck and, well, the whole meta, because I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm pretty bored with the meta right now. I don't enjoy most of it. Typically I'm either playing BA or I'm playing Mermail, and I might post a Mermail video on the channel soon. I didn't want to do that today though. I wanted to just toss a Dragon Link one up because I felt it was important for people to see the list that I've been playing. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button too. It is significantly appreciated. And for right now, this is Team Yugi Fails signing out.